Here I am waiting for the bus at a different location than I usually do. I switched on this specific day just because I wanted to try to throw things off with that stalker that they've been continually sending to get on the same bus as me, and then to exit where I exit and then walk to the place that is directly right next door to where I live and do this whole act where he stands outside and tries to time his entering with when I'm going to enter as well. So, as I've done this, obviously they knew that I wasn't getting the bus at the other location. There are cameras all over that other location that I would normally go to. So what you'll see here is I'm getting on a few stops ahead of where I would normally get on, and still you'll see that the stalker who they'd been regularly sending to that previous location, they'd usually have him walk directly over to me so I would see him and stand near me. And then he'd look over to see if I was getting on the bus, because their goal was to try to get him on the same bus as me so he could do this whole act where he exits where I exit and goes to the place right where I live as well, right next door to where I live. So, on this occasion, I intentionally got the bus at a different location, and you'll see just as I get on, the bus goes ahead just a short distance, and who gets on right after that? Yeah, that individual again. And on this occasion, you'll see that they've got him wearing a Skull and Bones shirt as well. So they finally allowed him to change his clothing. So as I adjust my routine as for where I'm going to get the bus, they've obviously had him change where he's going to be standing too, just so that I would know it's intentional, and so that I would know they're sending him intentionally to try to follow me literally all the way home and to stand outside of the house where I live. So, you'll see that here. I'm just getting on the bus here. Again, this is a different location than where I would ordinarily catch the bus, and it's not the same location where they were usually sending that stalker. Again, they knew that I wasn't going there that day, so therefore they repositioned the stalker to get on the bus after I had already gotten on. And you'll see as soon as I see him, I immediately get off the bus intentionally, because I'm doing everything possible to try to avoid him, but they keep sending him to try to follow me home. So you'll see that here.
can see they had him get on there today, changing it up a bit. I'm gonna get the next one. It's not gonna be long anyway. That was in there, so they switched his location today. Maybe because it was a rush, so they had to do it that way. So they had him come down here. Maybe he lives closer to here, I don't know. Or maybe he lives at that place, I'm not sure. I don't care, either way. We'll see if he gets off and waits. Because you can see that's going ahead, right? So I'll get the 55 or whichever one comes next. It's going out that way. It's not a big difference. Check it out. Okay, so as I get here, I can check it out now. Okay. I'm going to go over here. Look at his there. So you saw I got on the other bus. You saw I got on. He got on at a different stop this time. I got off right where he got off, and look at where he is. And he's looking over me. So they wanted it to line up so that he'd be going there, right? He'd get out on the same bus as me, and so they tried to trick me into not noticing that he was getting on a different stop. So today they sent him just to go there, and see he's going back the other way now. So he just basically got on. I'll show you from here. Take a look. See on there? Same hat and everything too. So they sent him to get on, go to that place. When they saw I had got off the bus that he got on, purposefully because I saw him getting on, they then sent him to go back. Now he's going back the other way. Watch. So he put. I got ridiculous, man. They really just used this guy like a. You know what? We really use him, don't they? He's going back. See, okay? Watch how slow the walk is. I'll just check it out. Now he's walking down there. What are you walking down that way for? Okay, watch down here. I'm going to show you from here. He's going down that way with that corner variety stores. They sent this guy up to walk in the store when I was about to go in, but when I didn't go in, I stopped and said, yeah, that's the guy. See you again. So they wanted to pull the stupid act, and then when I got off the bus, they still have him waiting across the street, like I predicted. They would. He's got to do what he's told. What did I say? So they tried something different this time. They thought I wouldn't notice, so I got on at a different stop. But they had him waiting at the stop ahead of me, thinking that and they thought I wouldn't notice him get on. So as soon as I saw him getting on, I got off the bus, and that bus went well ahead of the one I later got on. Because I waited, and then what does he do? They have him waiting across the street, standing there, like I showed you, walking really slow. Oh man, it must be weird being one of these people who has to do these things. You really just use them. People who are utilizing these operations. So he had to stay there and wait for me to do his act. They had him right across the street again, like I predicted they would too. Predicted they'd probably have him, or they'd have him out in front of the place. So again, so Daniel Rogers continues to send them, and I'll continue to put them on line. We'll go for that. See who blinks first. Then it's you. So I'll put them up every single time if you say, if it's obvious like that. Let's go here. Every time. Ah, check it out. Right as I get here. Right across from where I live. See that? Look who's there. Go figure. Look at that. Car number 39. There to greet me just as I get. I'm about to cross to where I live. And he was positioned waiting right there. He's probably waiting over there. I'll show you here. That's car number 69. Okay, they've used that one before. Yeah, he was working hard, just sitting there waiting on this side. Looking over here. So that's where I was going to cross, as you know. It's going to cross right there. You can see where he's positioned there. I'm just coming back here just to drag it on so he can turn and go. Then I'm going to go back and cross. So they have them waiting there today. Let's go down here. Yeah, car number 69. Right across from where I would cross to where they knew I was probably going to cross the street there, so I turned back here. And they're waiting there. Let's go down here, wait till he turns, and then I'll turn back. They waited a little bit of time. They sent them once last week, and sent them there right where I was going to cross. Purposeful harassment and intimidation right as I'm about to come home, as you can see. But they were told to come out there probably. That was funny with that guy. Oh, I'll give some more of that footage, that's good. As you can see there, they sent him to get on there this time. Different stop. So I'm going to get off and wait for the next one here. That was him that just got on there. Same stalker, they sent to stand next to the house. Goes to the house, the place next door to where I live. Now they're having him get on at a different stop, thinking that I won't see it. I saw him right away there, so I got off. Now what you're going to see is as I go back last week, I did the same thing, right? I went to a different stop last week, and they had him wait up here, and he got on from here instead of the Rito Center, and they're hoping that I wouldn't notice him or whatever, or that I wouldn't be paying attention. So I saw him there, so I'm getting off here now. Let's see if they have him wait. Last week they, let's not go down here so I can talk. Last week they had him, where did I put the ticket? Oh, there it is. Okay. Second here. Last week when they had him get on at this stop, because they switched it up because they know I'm looking to see where he is at Rito Center. So now they're having him get on down here. And last week what they did is the day they did that, when they sent him, you can see that bus went on way ahead of me, right? Okay, so you see he got. Is he in here? Let's see. So this is a different. So I got off again. Yeah, he's in front of the place. See? He's going in there. Oh no, he's standing up front. Let's see. I think that's him there in front. So that's the same guy, as you can see there. Now, it's important to note that I went out of my way to avoid getting on. They sent him to a different stop now because they know I'm looking out for him at Rito Center. So to avoid getting on the same bus as him. So now what they've done is they sent him at a few stops ahead to a different stop, and as soon as I saw him get on, I got off, right? Last time they had him positioned waiting across the street. This time it looked like he just went into that place there now. So as you can see here, I just got off the train. Look what we have down here. 1, 2, 3, 4 special constables and an ambulance. Some sort of foolish theater going on here, obviously. Some act. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 4 special constables and an ambulance, and they're gonna probably drive away just now after I've got here. As you can see, just got off the train. 4 special constables and an ambulance here, and the act is just about to end now. They got some actor there. Let's go down and take a look at the skit here. First of all, let's preface this by saying, you probably know by now there's virtually no crime that happens in Ottawa. So a lot of what they do with these ridiculous skits is just manufacture these fake staged incidents to make it look like these frauds are actually doing work, when in reality they actually just stalk and harass law-abiding citizens. So let's take a look here at this performance. Now the performance is probably scheduled to end just as I've gotten here, so they'll have the whole thing where they remove this actor and then drive away just after I've gotten here. It's usually timed that way. We'll see. Yeah, 4 special constables for 1 person apparently, and an ambulance here. So what do we have? Let's just take a look here. Yeah, ambulance on the left. Okay, listen for fake coughing, you're gonna hear that too. So, okay, 1, 2, so we can, probably gonna be laughing as usual, the usual laughing while they do these things. You notice he's looking at me, that one, yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, this theatrical performance is set to end momentarily, I think. So it looks like they just had 1 individual, and this all is set up to occur just as I get here, of course, as usual. The usual theatrical street theater performance. And we're gonna get a laugh. Usually they laugh during these ridiculous things, but this might stand out a bit much now if they did that here. Yeah, everything these people do is just an act. Looks over directly at me, the constable who looks like he's about 18 years old. As you also know, they hire the most competent people for these positions here. They have a lot of people with CSIS here too as well in this crowd here, so this creeper just walked over in front here. Let's turn around here. You'll hear fake coughing. Yeah, so they have this timed for my arrival. 4147 is the ambulance. And the one black constable there, the steroid junkie, he was the one who they used in that other incident where where the guy was the other street theater incident before. Let's see. Yeah, they used a community-based agent to set up some fake act. So this is prepared for my arrival here. So here. That constable there, the black guy, he was in, you'll see him in another video too, where he and that one individual, I think his name's Sanchez, the other constable, were having some skit with another actor previously as well. Just as I arrived, he showed up, and then the guy's like cackling and acting like a buffoon, the other constable. So he's got to go in there after he gets in now. Let's see if we can see a name here. Notice over here, they got a bunch of people. Okay, so usually when they do this, they're always going to have lookout people too. So they've got a bunch of people among this crowd here who are there to film my reaction to it. So just looking at one here. Let's see if we guy they used to previously. So this is one individual, and it required 4 cars, and it just happened to occur just as I get here, just as I arrived here. This guy here, the black guy on the left, he was in the other video where they staged a previous street theater skit, so they're sending him back tonight there too. And you got LL Cool J there behind the, performing his act behind the ambulance there. Yeah, make sure you write detailed notes there, buddy. If you can't even write. Make sure you do a very detailed, write a very thorough report on this staged incident. Yeah. This guy's like yawning, fake coughing from this guy right there. I was trying to see the guy's name, but I don't want to go too close, so I was trying to see his name. See, over here too, they have, among the crowd there, they always have at least a couple people who are there to film their reactions. So. This guy's turn, so I can't see the name on his, I'm gonna take a look. So as you can see, nothing's going on. They're just, when I was looking down from above, it looked like they had one individual, and nothing's going on. It's all staged. Covered his name badge too, that guy there. This guy's name, if I can look. This guy's probably part of it too, the guy who's directly in front. Catch your name. Let's turn in. So as you can see from this angle here, 4 cars there. And that guy looks like he's like 18 years old, the one constable. Yeah, oh, you can see. Yeah, what they did is they sent in a vagrant to cause a disturbance, or someone who's just acting as a vagrant. So. And the guy at the back there, that's the guy who they used in the previous street theater video, where the other constable was like cackling and giggling. So that guy there, that black guy on the steroid, black guy there. So let's take a look at how many times these things have just occurred the moment I've arrived at an area which would be completely quiet. Now, this guy's turned around. Look, she's like trespassing. Here's like car number 5. Car number 5, one up here. 5 constables for 1 individual there. Now here's the supervisor. The supervisor there. Now what they have to do is all stand around the back of the ambulance because of some guy who they sent to cause a ruckus. I was trying to see the name on that guy, so they stage these things all the time, as you know, and this just happens to occur right when I arrived. Looks like a manga. Robertson is the one guy. That's the guy who they used on the previous game. Robertson, the steroid guy. He was with the guy who was like giggling. I think it was Sanchez there on the previous occasion. So we'll get him again there. Mr. Robertson. Let's try to see. Merrick is the one guy, the guy that was talking to. Okay. I'm not going to wait for the whole act to, that's, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 special constable cars in an ambulance for 1 vagrant, and, this is an act here where they're just looking in the back to see what's here. 22520. But they have to make these things seem realistic too, right? So they have to set it up so it seems realistic. Because there's a lot of people who actually think these clowns actually do real work. But Mr. Robertson, he's got to write his detailed report here. Okay, Mr. Robertson. write your detailed report on this skit that you just staged here. See you, Mr. Merritt. Mr. Merritt. Okay. Merritt and Robertson. I got two of the names there anyway. Looks like Merritt anyway. Is this police here now as well? You'd think they'd have them here, but it is the responsibility of these people when something occurs at a transit hub. Okay, so there we go. Some straight theater tonight. I'm not going to wait it all out. They were told to keep it going as long as I was there, and now they can probably conclude it now that I'm leaving. So there you go, Mr. Robertson. He needs more steroids, Mr. Robertson. Okay, I'm going to go this way tonight. We'll see if any of them drive by up here. They probably will. So they had that set up. You would have thought that this is September 10th, so I would have thought they'd have something set up on September 11th, 9/11. Maybe they will tomorrow. I don't know what's going to go on tomorrow. But a lot of times in past years, oh, look at that moon, huh? Large tonight, not full moon, but large. Yeah. So in 2023, on 9/11, they had this drug dealer come over to the house and try to start a confrontation where I used to live. It's pretty clear he was running a drug house across the street because you could see the types of people who are coming and going all the time. So what happened was when I came outside, if you haven't seen that video, it's from almost 2 years ago, and they had these stalking tenants who lived in the house where I lived, and so when I would leave, they'd often just pull up right when I was leaving or exit when I was leaving. So I had just gotten a new pair of camera glasses that night, and they weren't charged. So instead I went out with my phone, and I recorded the guy pulling up, and he pulls up just across from the house. So then this drug dealer comes over and starts screaming at me and threatening me, and brings his vicious dog onto the property. And he wouldn't leave, so I had no other alternative. Eventually he finally left, but not knowing whether they're going to continue to send him to do things like that, I had no other option but to call the police because he was saying a whole bunch of slander as well. He had been fed the usual lies where they go around and say a person's either like a drug dealer or a pedophile or a rapist, and he was saying all of these things, right? Even though he himself was a drug dealer himself. But they just make up all kinds of ridiculous lies and slander. So that was on September 11th, 2023. So it'll be 2 years ago tomorrow. So that's why I thought they'll probably do something on September 11th. But anyway, a bunch of street theater tonight. And we got Constable Robertson, who was also in the other video with that cackling weirdo. I think his name's Sanchez. I didn't see him there tonight, though. Sanchez. I think that's the guy's name. And so all those cars were there, 5 special constables for one vagrant who just randomly happened to be being brought onto the ambulance at the exact moment I arrived. Now, we've seen these things, these staged skits, for 4 years as well, if you've seen my video. So, and they always just seem to happen right when I arrive somewhere. It's funny how that works, isn't it? But yeah, like there's literally hardly any crime in Ottawa. The only place where there's a little bit of activity is like the Byward Market, where you do have some drug activity. But beyond that, up here, it's completely quiet. They also have to do the... Now this bike trail, as you can see, is completely dark. He's got a light on his head, but still. So they also have to do things like this because they have to make it look like these people are serving some purpose, right? Because they don't do anything other than stalk people and sit in their cars watching movies on their phones all for their entire shift. So to try to justify keeping them, they also have to stage some of these ridiculous skits. So that one just happened to coincide with my arrival, as these same things have happened for 4 years in 3 different cities, 2 different provinces. Actually, technically 3 different provinces, because I did spend one night in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and they sent a bunch of biker gangs and the police and the fire department. I didn't even spend the full night. I just went right back to the airport when I got there. I don't think I've talked about that fully in any of the videos yet, but I did have something recorded where I talked about it, but I never uploaded it. I'll have to find that anyway. That was a disaster, and that was just one night. So, yeah, anyway, tonight, a little bit of street theater there, well, a lot. Again, one guy, and they had to have 5 special constable vehicles on the scene with a ton of constables, because typically, they know this field here, they got a bunch of people walking across the field to coincide with when I would get there. But they have to make it look like they're at, because they do literally nothing. You don't even need transit constables in Ottawa at all, because nothing really happens at all. You know, you might have some things in the areas near the Rideau Centre, but those places you have a high concentration of police in those areas, who also, I might add, don't do any work and just pretend like, you know, they allow these things to happen, essentially. So that there is some community-based agent who they sent probably, now so that it would look real to, because not everyone there is controlled in the area, so that it would look legitimate to the onlookers there. I'm sure some of those people were with CSIS, those onlookers, and I'm sure at least a couple of them were recording my reaction, because they always send people to do that when they stage one of these skits. But basically, to make it look real to the onlookers, they'll have to have something that looks, you know, like the person actually did something. So typically they'll send somebody who's controlled by the state, who has to do what they're told, like all these people do. A lot of times they'll send someone wearing those military camouflage pants to cause a fake disturbance, and it'll be all pre-planned, and then these people will come in and it'll look like they're actually dealing with a situation. And listen, maybe the police are going to drive up here too. See that moon there though, huh? Not quite full, but quite large tonight. So yeah, September 10th, you know, I thought September 11th. That time they went all out and had that drug dealer basically come on the property, trespass, and I had no other choice but to call the police, because, you know, he seemed like he was going to get violent. He was a really big guy and a psychopath as well, and pretty clear he was dealing drugs as well. Another person walking across the field here as I come up. You see how they flood the area of people here. But that was, yeah, that was where that was the first place where I lived in Gatineau when I first moved, and I lived there for about a year and a half. And there was non-stop harassment there. So that guy, they had that whole situation set up with these other tenants who were also doing stalking assignments, that he would pull up right next to the guy's house. And so the guy came over and just starts causing a ruckus. And so what happened is, I had no other choice but to call the police, because I didn't know what he was going to do. And I thought they're probably going to send him again to do these things, right? So what happened was, I called the cops after he had finally left. I told him, like, a number of different times, get off the property, go away. I was just trying to leave for work, and he came over and just started screaming at me, saying I was filming his house when I was just filming the vehicle that had pulled up, which was one of those tenants was driving it, which I just described, who lived where I lived, who would constantly stalk. They would constantly leave when I would leave, so I would just document it. I wouldn't talk to them. So then they came up to me, and then the one guy says, hey, he's saying you're filming his house. I said, I'm not filming his house, I was just filming the car. And that was one of the few nights when I was using a cell phone, and that's how they get you too, right? Because they see you filming if you're holding a cell phone. That's why you shouldn't use a cell phone to document these things if you can help it. If you have no other option, okay, I can see that. But you should try to be discreet about it. Like, I usually wear camera glasses. That's what I'm wearing tonight. And you can get them with clear lenses too, so you know, it doesn't look weird when you're wearing them at nighttime. But they're not all just sunglasses. You can get the reading glasses as well, which are better for nighttime. So what happens is, if you haven't seen that video, I call the cops, and every night when I would leave from work, pretty much every night, and at least 4 to 5 nights, the police would show up right when I would go up the street. Then when I called them, that one night, they took an hour, almost an hour and a half to show up. And when they got there, the cop says, oh, there's no infraction, because I said, what do you mean there's no infraction? He was trespassing on the property, and he was spewing out slander and lies, and basically threatening me, and brought a dog onto the property, and he refused to leave. And then the cop says, well, there's no infraction. And then, so after that, so then I tell him, about these lies and slander. I said, the guy came over here and he said, you're a rapist and you're a pedophile. And I said, this is right on cue as well as I come closer. Now notice they turned it off right there. So if it was an emergency, they could, you can just use it for there. No. So anyway, I tell them about this, and I said that's slander, and obviously I said it's being justified. This is what's being spread about me to get these people to do these things. And because it's the police themselves, I believe, that are sent to spread these lies, or someone above the police, possibly in law enforcement, to go door to door to enlist them to partake in these things. When I told the cop that, he didn't put it in the report. Of course he didn't, because they knew that already. They knew that those lies had been spread, and so they couldn't put it in the report. Now, if he put it in the report, I'd have a record of it, and I could show a continued pattern of these lies being spread to get these people to harass me in this way. So the cop purposefully didn't put it in the report. I went to request the police report, and was told that he did not put that in the report. And then, so I filed a complaint against the cop for negligence, because that was the most important thing that I told him there, and I wanted a record of it. And he wasn't going to do it because he knows the reason why he was brought over there was because the cops had spread these utter lies and nonsense and slander about me, or someone in law enforcement had. So he wasn't going to do that. And so when he didn't do that, I filed a complaint against him and showed them the incident. And despite the facts that I showed them of this cop neglecting his job and not conveying the most important information as to why that attack had occurred, they just dismissed it and wouldn't go ahead with the complaint against the cop. So that's the type of system you have. That was in Quebec, but one thing in Quebec that's different in Ontario, they have an appeal process. So if you file a complaint against a cop and you're not satisfied with the decision, you can't appeal it once. And if you need to add more evidence, which I did, and then they looked at it and just said, okay, they just dismissed it anyway. But in Ontario, they'll just look at it once and then basically dismiss it, because the cops are always protected in these situations. So anyhow, that was a little bit of stuff for tonight, but that's what happened there. That was September 11th, 2023. I have that video up too. And now, again, also that was one of their protected drug dealers, so the cops are not going to do anything to him, right? They allow him to operate. He's probably still operating there now, I'm sure. And from that, I know that as well, because from that house, they'd send these people who are just definitely on some type of narcotics, to stand in front of my house as I was leaving, and also sometimes to trespass on the property. I have footage of that as well. So that was definitely a drug house, and they sent that guy over to try and get me to react or get into a fight with him. I didn't do that. I just documented the material and told him to leave, and then he wouldn't leave, so I had to get the police. Finally, he did leave, but I wanted them to issue him a warning just to leave me alone. They did do that. They had to do that because, I mean, I showed the cops the footage too. But he was very dismissive in general, just going through the motions. And that was in Gatineau. That was in Gatineau where that occurred.
Same guy. As you saw there, the same guy who they had the other time, driving by me again just as I was leaving. So I got his face again there, and I'll put him up again. That's the same stalker there that you saw in the thumbnail of that recent video. Again, right as I leave, within seconds of leaving, he's again
again driving up past me right as I leave.
You may recall this CSIS surveillance role player wearing the blue shirt from my previous video entitled August 2025, CSIS Criminal Harassment and Stalking Campaign Documentation. When this individual was sent to continually follow me around the store, at the grocery store, and almost purposefully slammed his cart into me and then left the store at the exact moment just as I was leaving. So I put him in the thumbnail for that video, and as I've already shown in this video, two other individuals who I put in the thumbnail have both been sent to continually return to continue their stalking on behalf of CSIS. So now, today, the last few times when I went to that grocery store, I never saw this individual, and today, as you will see here, they sent him back again, and of course he's wearing the exact same blue shirt, and of course he shows up just as I go in. He immediately appears, and then he waits for me to leave, goes up to the cash when I go up to the cash, and leaves right as I leave yet again, as he did previously. So in this video you'll have seen 3 stalkers, all who I've put in thumbnails, previous thumbnails, all being sent back by CSIS to do more stalking assignments, because CSIS knows that I put these stalkers in the thumbnails and exposed them in previous videos. So this is the same stalker here, and we'll be putting him online again.
It usually starts right in the area where I'm nipping. 816, okay. Oh, look at this. That's it. Every time. They told him to wait over this side. Normally you would that's not. Starting to look. I wanted to see who's going to come.
Sorry.
just want to come back again to showing an image of the deranged criminal psychopath who is responsible for orchestrating many of these activities as the director of CSIS, and that is the man pictured here, Daniel Rogers, a criminal who was inserted into his position not because of any qualifications, but simply because of his connection to an important family. Of course, the Rogers family, and people from the aristocracy are put into these positions as order givers, and of course orders are given to them from up above as well. So he is one of the people responsible for this organized crime syndicate where huge amounts of people are used to surround, harass, and stalk law-abiding citizens, also conducting illegal surveillance on these people 24/7, even within their homes, enlisting everyone around the people who they're harassing to try to turn them against them, or if they can't get them to turn against them, to simply try to get them to not support them. And in some cases with family members, they'll use threats and intimidation, because that's who these people are. They're criminal psychopaths. Everything that they do involves deceit, and literally everything CSIS does. If you look even on their their Twitter, or their whatever you want to call it, X, literally every single post is an absurd, laughable lie, and everything that they say is an inversion of what they actually do. So when they say they're trying to protect Canadians, what they really mean is they're terrorizing and harassing law-abiding Canadians while facilitating the drug trade all throughout the country. So that's what this criminal psychopath Freemason is responsible for. And when exposing these things, it's also very important to expose the individuals involved, because they thrive on an atmosphere where they will use a group to surround you, harass you, and intimidate you. But they absolutely hate it when you point them out as individuals and point out who they are, because then they can't hide behind these huge groups who they exploit and manipulate and scurry behind while they harass and terrorize people. So we will regularly speak about the specific individuals involved in these crimes against Canadians. And it's not just this psychopath, Daniel Rogers. There are a lot of others as well. You've got Ottawa Police Chief Eric Stubbs, another psychopath criminal Freemason who facilitates drug trafficking, and who, prior to being inserted into his position as Ottawa Police Chief after the staged trucker convoy fiasco, which is all that was, a staged sideshow circus in which the police staged a bunch of fake orchestrated riots with huge amounts of people who are paid to be out there to play fake opposition roles. Prior to that, Chief Eric Stubbs was covering up child abuse and other such things, crimes of Freemasons, his fellow Freemasons, while working for the RCMP. So another psychopath criminal who was simply inserted into his role to facilitate criminal activities. Very important to focus on the individual people who are involved in these things, because the methods that they use are to isolate you and go around and run slander campaigns on you. So what you have to do also is focus on the specific criminal individuals and expose them. And people can clearly see from the evidence that I show that the actions of these psychopaths correspond with criminal harassment and crimes. Now, what goes on behind the scenes is much, much worse. And, you know, those of us who are in the know are well aware of that. But this person here, again, has no business being in his position. He is only there because he has no empathy. He is a sick psychopath who takes pleasure in terrorizing law-abiding citizens simply for speaking the truth. And he will also have no problem terrorizing women and children, using these swarms of people, these criminal biker gangs that he enlists to do these things. He will have no problem with that because he's fully insulated, and CSIS basically hides behind all of these things they have set up where they're never accountable for any actions. You can't call them out within the legal system because they're fully insulated. And they hide behind this veil that is set up where they're never accountable for their criminal actions. And if you do hear CSIS talked about in any Canadian mainstream media, it is just a planted story that is there to deceive people into thinking that there's actual oversight, when anyone who's going through one of these criminal harassment campaigns knows that there isn't. And as you will have seen by the evidence provided in my videos, Daniel Rogers and CSIS continue to send the same stalkers back to continue this harassment campaign, specifically after they've been exposed. Now, after that individual who was sent to stand right next door to where I live, follow me into a different province and do that ridiculous act, was sent, and after I uploaded the video footage of him, before that, I had never seen him before in my life. Now Daniel Rogers and CSIS sent him to consistently follow me. And when I try to get on a different bus and avoid him, they make sure a lot of times that he waits for me even after I get off, which falls under the category of pre-planned criminal harassment. And also, you see this same stalking psychopath biker who was waiting for me literally as I left work today to drive up alongside me. That is the same stalking criminal psychopath biker who CSIS sent on a previous occasion, and after I put him in the thumbnail of a video, Daniel Rogers, the criminal psychopath, sends him back again to do the exact same thing. So they try to do this thing where they try to intimidate you after you've exposed these psychopath criminals who are breaking Canadian laws and harassing people, to try and intimidate you out of exposing these things. That's what Daniel Rogers and CSIS do. But with me, it won't work. I'll continue to expose them every single time he sends them back. I'll continue to put their faces online every single time he sends them back. And that's why people like Daniel Rogers and CSIS desperately want to push this digital ID system so that they can completely take away all anonymity online, so that the crimes perpetrated by their organization can be covered up more adequately. Because they don't like the fact that people can go online and expose their criminal activities. And so to try and cover that up even more, they fund endless amounts of people to go online. And a lot of these people who CSIS controls are drug addicts because they have heavy connections to the drug trade, and they facilitate the distribution of hard narcotics in this country. So Daniel Rogers and CSIS don't like that when you expose these people who they use to stalk and harass you. And so they want to go to any length to shut that down, to shut down freedom of speech, to shut down the ability of people, real people who aren't controlled, to speak out against these crimes they're committing. So expect them to move very rapidly towards this digital ID system, which is simply being used to restrict free speech. That's all it's about. And once they do that, then they will ramp up these crimes that they're committing against law-abiding citizens at a much higher level, I believe.